Hi, folks. This is Emily Motter at Hospitality Minnesota. Today, we are here with Sarah Norton Webster from Serving the Serving, and we are going to talk a little bit about ways that we can care for ourselves and not just our businesses. Thanks for being
Hello,
here, Sarah.
everyone. It's great to be here. This is a new experience for me. I hear about the Zoom thing.
We are really glad you're here today, Sarah. Like I was saying, these last few weeks have just been a lot, to say the least. And I think that it'll be good for us to take some time to think about how we can support our whole selves, things that those of us either as individuals can do or things that we can pass along to our staff and our employees and our coworkers, just to kind of remind everybody, like, take care of yourself too. So I'll start with, I follow your Instagram, which is at sts_wellness. And you guys had a post the other day that had a sign that someone had posted on their wall, and it was 6 quarantine questions. So I'm going to read the questions really quick. And they were, what am I grateful for today? Who am I checking in on or connecting with today? What expectations of normal am I letting go of? How am I getting outside today? How am I moving my body today? And what beauty am I creating, cultivating, or inviting in today? And I think those are really important things to think about. So tell me a little more about that post and why those questions are important things to be asking ourselves right now.
Well, I think a lot of what we talk about that doesn't get talked about nearly enough, in my opinion, is it's the mind-body connection. And it's the connection on the trauma, which we are all in the middle of experiencing right now. Trauma exists on the cellular level. There's a lot of evidence to suggest that trauma can go back as far as 6 generations and as far forward as 6 generations. And so being mindful of the fact that trauma is literally being carried around in our cells, I think is something that has to be paid attention to. Because the last thing, I mean, we all need to, make sure our immunities are bolstered right now. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do that physically. But mentally, if you're caring for yourself in the best way that you know how, and there's no award for who does it the best or anything like that, we all just have to do our very best. And gratitude, that feeling of gratitude, is one that I think that for me personally, it gets me through the days right now, is the feeling of gratitude. Well, at least I am not in jail. At least I have a home. At least my marriage is still intact. All those kinds of things. And so if you can remember what's good about your life instead of what sucks about it, we can all find a lot of stuff right now that sucks about it. So that I think the gratitude piece is really big. And then the other piece to that is who am I checking in on? And I think that that's something that we need to remember to do, is to check on people. I just sent out, I haven't been able to do a lot because I've been really grieving, but I just sent out, a handful of cards to all the people that I love. And they were like old birthday cards, and I scratched out and was like, Happy Wednesday, or I don't know. But whatever it was, I just wanted to let people know that I'm thinking about them in that kind of a way. And I think I just did that for my friends, but I think that those little gestures really mean a lot these days, especially for anybody that's struggling with any kind of mental illness, or who's feeling really knocked off their feet by this, which is pretty much everyone. I think that those small gestures for somebody who's struggling are really, they're just key in maintaining, if there's just one person out there that cares, that's like all it takes sometimes to really stabilize people. So I think that those small acts of service for other people, sending them a card, calling, FaceTiming, there's nothing that's stopping us from doing any of that. We have to get over our insecurities about what we look like on camera, but that's okay. We can do that. And just those little tiny things, I think, they just make a big difference. If a boss or a supervisor decides to make a quick little 5-minute video that says, love you guys and I miss you, it really can, it can be the difference in somebody's mood for days on end.
Yeah, and it's interesting with the video chats and everything. Our team here at Hospitality Minnesota, we have a daily team video chat, and we've tried a couple different platforms. And so for a few days we were using a system where you couldn't see everyone's face, like you could only see the faces of the people talking. And after a while it was like, I think we want to go back to one where we can see everybody. And it's interesting, I guess, being in this space where you just don't see the people you see every day. And yeah, I just think that point of reaching out to people in any way, I think, is helpful. It doesn't, no one is ever going to be upset that you thought about them, So
They're
yeah,
not going to be like, hey, this is a birthday card and it's not my birthday. No, they're going to laugh and they're going to say, thank you, I'm glad Sarah loves me. Yeah.
exactly. And so one of the things that you mentioned a second ago too is like, the how much this is affecting folks' mental health, with things just being so unpredictable and outside of kind of normal and all that kind of stuff. So what are some suggestions you have, or maybe some potential resources that folks can go to try and get some support for their mental health in a time like this, a little bit of a crisis situation?
Sure. There's a couple of different things that you can do. One is that on servingthoseserving.org, we have a list of a drop-down list of public services. It's centered around Minneapolis, but it's a start. And basically what you can do is you can look up for walk-in clinics. I mean, now nobody's walking in anywhere, but people are still doing therapy, and they're doing it just like this. And so there's a lot of different ways that can happen, that people can do in person, or not in person, but video therapy sessions. And I think there's a service called Doctor on Demand. There's a lot of other ones too that will do online counseling if you have insurance. Now, of course, that's most of our workforce does not. So there are other ways. There's North Point Wellness in Minneapolis. They're really good for that. The National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI, Minnesota, is wonderful. They can help with that kind of thing, with finding people, low cost or no cost therapy. But there's lots of support groups that are popping up all over the place. There's lots of financial resources also that are out there, including like the Bartenders Guild has an emergency fund, and unemployment. That sounds like it's kind of a nightmare right now for people, but if people can just be patient and calm down, it'll come eventually. Would we like it to come faster? Yeah, but that's just not how things work, and especially when the government gets overwhelmed like they are right now. We just have to be patient and understand that, something like 30,000 people applied for unemployment insurance in one day, or something like that. I mean, it's overwhelming their system. So, those are the kind of obvious resources that are out there. But yeah, if you go to servingthoseserving.org, on the drop-down menu for our help services directory, it's categorized: mental health, physical health, that kind of thing.
And do you think, just kind of in your opinion, if someone doesn't currently have a mental health support system, like say this is the first time they want to try therapy or counseling or anything like that, now is the time? Do you think that's okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. I think, we all have to be really careful about the expectations that we're putting on ourselves. I absolutely reject the notion that we have to be super productive, hyper productive during this time. I think if we can keep our families together, our marriages together, our relationships together, our children safe, if we can do that and keep a roof over our head, we win. That's like all that's required of us right now. So this whole thing about, I'm going to better myself and I'm going to learn freaking Kundalini yoga or whatever it is. If that's your thing, please, by all means, do it. But don't feel bad if you're not already doing that. I've got an 8-year-old here at home. I am not a good homeschool teacher. I purposely didn't go into teaching for that. I don't know how teachers do it, bless their hearts. But yeah, I think that we all need to really, now is the time to work on yourself if you feel like you can tackle that. If survival is all you can do, just do that. That's okay. Right. I think that people are really struggling right now with these expectations placed on us, because we don't know what to do with ourselves as a society. If we're not productive, then we must not be worth anything. And I think remembering the difference between being and doing. is really key. That's something that I personally learned with my own therapist. The difference between doing and being is pretty big. Um, Being is just who you are in this world. Doing is the productivity piece. And right now, we can separate those. We can just be a decent person, not yell at our kids. I was at the park the other day and everybody was really trying so hard to keep their chins up. And one lady was just hollering at her kids. And I felt it. I understood why.
Yeah.
But the being piece, she didn't have down, because right now our kids need us to be.
Right.
They don't need us to do. They need us to be, and they need us to. We need to be able to talk to them about our feelings and what we're going through in this grief that we're all dealing with. So I think really, yes, now is a great time. Any time is a great time if you feel like therapy will be useful for you. Anytime's a great time, and if you have, it takes some emotional energy though, and a lot of us are kind of running low on that right now. The irony is it's the time that we need it the most. So I think it's I never preach about what people should or shouldn't do. I think it's a personal decision for everyone. I think staying even and level right now to the best of everybody's ability, I think that's the big struggle right now, is to try to keep our moods even. And then again, that exercise piece, moving your body, getting outside, that's been key for me. But I did spend yesterday kind of in bed, kind of under my blanket, kind of crying a lot. And, if you're going through these feelings and emotions, that's really healthier to, if you can, process it now. Because if you don't process it now, you'll just have to deal with it later. So I think it's for everybody, just do your absolute best, and whatever your best is good enough right now. That's my message.
Yeah, it's we're recording on Thursday, April 2nd, and I think the next couple of days it's supposed to be kind of cold and kind of gloomy, and in a weird way, it gets back to your point about like being versus doing. It's almost like if it's not nice out, then there's no pressure to, oh, I should go for a walk, I should go for a run, I should anything. And sometimes it takes that pressure off of like, I'm gonna stay inside and I'm gonna just watch all of RuPaul's Drag Race or whatever.
Yes.
I'm just gonna mainline a TV show and I'm just gonna stay in and I'm gonna zone out. And then maybe next weekend I'll try again.
I think that's what it is. I mean, nobody, there's no award for best pandemic survivor. Like,
thank God.
Right? Because I would fail. No. We're all going to just do our best with what we have. And I think that placing expectations on ourselves right now is not only unfair, but it's downright stupid, and it's setting ourselves up for failure. None of us knows how to do this. So we just have to, lower all of our expectations for ourselves, because, raising them right now that's a stress response. It's raise your expectations. Oh, okay, well now I'm gonna run every day and I'm gonna, lose 50 pounds during this. And if you can do that, great. God bless you. It's not in a lot of people's wheelhouse right now. We're really on survival mode. And I think it's sort of like with breathing, when you're drowning, your diaphragm kicks in. Your diaphragm is that last source of air that saves your life. And I think that's kind of what we're kind of breathing, that air right now. And I think we need to be respectful of that, and understand that a lot of us are really running on empty. We're terrified. We're scared for our families. The unknown is absolutely awful. We're losing, our restaurant community. We're watching casualties left and right. And the grief of that is heavy and big. And I think we should all pay it the respect that it deserves. It's okay to feel absolutely heartbroken over this. This is a heartbreaking thing. And so feeling those feelings as they're happening, it's not easy. There's a a balance between, legitimately feeling your feelings and then bursting into tears at Target. There's a spectrum there of what that's like, but we all just have to do our best, and then come together, of course, with as much support as we possibly can, for one another, because we're all in this together. I can't imagine what, if any of us would have thought about this 6 months ago, that the entire workforce would be laid off.
Right.
We wouldn't have believed it. and it clobbered us upside the head, clobbered everybody, and
Mhm.
it sucks. And it's going to be a while before it's over. But I just keep thinking about what it's going to be like when it is over. And that's what really keeps me going, because once our community is back up and running,
Mhm.
it's going to be stronger and better than ever. And with a renewed, hopefully a renewed emphasis on taking care of yourself and not working when you're sick.
Right. Exactly. That's
I keep
probably a
going on it, but
right. Like if we have learned nothing through all of this, it's like stay home when you're sick.
I've been beating that drum for a long time. I mean, I
Yeah.
was on the Sick and Safe Time Committee, the determined sick time in Minneapolis. I helped to write and create that policy, and
Oh, great. Okay.
I'm proud of that, because 4 years ago when we did it, it was pretty new, and now it's kind of showing that it really was needed and
Yeah.
is needed, and protections for people,
Mhm.
not making people provide doctor's notes, if in an industry that's uninsured, largely uninsured or underinsured,
Yeah.
things like that. Those things matter.
Right.
And forcing people to work when they're sick is too common, and it needs to stop. And I've always been saying this, and I'm not an I told you so kind of person, but I've been saying this for a while.
Yeah. Um, I know a second ago we had said, like, don't feel like now is the time that you need to do all this extra stuff. But if you are the kind of person that physical activity kind of helps you process your stress and your grief and everything,
Hmm.
I guess I'm answering my own question. I was going to ask, like, why is physical activity so important right now for
Yeah.
people who are kind of attuned to that kind of stuff?
It's
Um,
that stress relief and those good endorphins.
mhm,
And I would also say, I'm a whiskey girl myself. I like to drink.
mhm,
I'm being really careful right now about how much I drink.
mhm,
Um, and it isn't so much because it's the reason is because it can really drop your serotonin levels the next day, or 2 days later, or, it can really kind of mess with that. So
mhm,
I would say that, pretty much what I always say is that alcohol in moderation, or even even heavy alcohol use, um, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's just something to be mindful of. And it doesn't cure anything. And
mhm.
it can definitely exacerbate symptoms and make it worse. Any kind of depression can very easily be made worse by a bad bender. So I just would remind people that, if you did kind of get into the whiskey bottle and then you feel like absolute garbage the next day, um, a lot of that has to do with it's the chemical, kind of crash after you've
Mhm.
had fun drinking. So I'm encouraging people, especially if you're depressed or sad,
Mhm.
it's not the time to reach for the bottle. It really, really isn't. It's the time to go for a walk, like you said, or
Yeah.
learn how to play piano, or whatever it is that kind of distracts you from that, because I think excessive alcohol use right now is something we all need to be worried about and careful about, especially with our industry, or the bar industry.
Mhm.
So um, you know, we have to be mindful of that. And again, I don't tell anybody what to do. It's just, for me, I know that I need to be mindful of that, and not, it's easy to just want to do shots with your friends on Zoom, but
Mhm.
how is that really helping? Probably not. So I think we just have to think about things. We're in crisis. We're in crisis mode, and rules change during crisis times.
Yeah. Have you kind of, since all this started, what are maybe some new practices you've taken on, or some old practices you've brought back? Anything that you're doing to kind of help keep yourself centered right now?
Definitely. So I actually have, I'm going to grab it and show you. I have a checklist.
Oh, amazing.
Really, right here. It's right next to my bed.
Oh, look at that. I love
This
it.
is my checklist.
Yeah.
Um, I put it right next to my bed so that I remember. Now,
Yeah.
I don't actually check anything off, but if you can read it, there's my meds, my daily meds, my vitamins,
Yep.
treadmill, sun lamp, meditation, yoga, guitar, and nutrition.
Uh,
And the way that I do it for myself is that if I can hit 4 of those in one day,
yeah.
5 on a good day, I'm doing great.
Nice.
I'm never going to probably hit them all in one day, but
Yeah.
it's here and it's right next to me so that I don't forget. This is my priority right here,
Yeah.
because I can't be any good to my husband or my child or my people
Mhm.
if I'm not taking care of myself, I can't crash and burn right now. I've got to,
Yeah.
I mean, it's tempting, but, oh,
Yeah.
there's my guitar. Yeah. Yeah.
I like that though, because I feel like that's a good way to choose, what are the 10 things that make me feel best. But
Mhm.
then also it's like, yeah, I don't have to do all 10 every day. So you feel like you still have a little bit of autonomy, a little bit of control, a little bit of
Yeah.
choice. And maybe today you just don't feel like playing guitar. Maybe today is the day that you just bask in that sun lamp, but tomorrow it could be
Yep.
different.
That's
That's a
right.
good one. I like that.
I mean,
Yeah.
it helps me. I mean, I've always struggled with anxiety and depression, so this is nothing new for me.
Hmm.
Um, it's just it's something that I've kind of developed for myself just as a coping mechanism. But you literally forget to take care of yourself, and I think that I don't understand why that is. I
Hmm.
don't get it, what the mechanism is in our brain that argues against taking care of ourselves or that makes us forget. I don't know what that's all about.
Hmm.
I just know it's there. And so
Yeah.
that's literally why the checklist is like right there.
Yeah.
So that every day when I wake up, that's the first thing that I see. And I go, okay, look at the list. What can I handle right now? I can switch
Mhm.
on my sun lamp. Great.
Yeah.
Then that gives me a little bit. And then I'm going, okay, all right, maybe I'll play a song on the guitar and sing a little bit. That's going to make me feel better. And
Yeah.
then by the afternoon, I'm happy and ready to go for a walk
Right.
rather than just jumping right to that go for a walk. "Ooh, well, I just
Right.
woke up. Do I really want to go outside yet? Nope, I'm not ready."
Right. Yeah.
So
Sometimes
it's
you
sort
gotta
of,
ramp
it's
up.
that, yeah, picking and choosing of what can you handle today.
I like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we've got just a couple of minutes left. So I suppose that there isn't a way to sum this up in like, if there's only one thing, do this. But what would you say for kind of all of our members? Like, here are a few things that you would recommend that they kind of think about in terms of caring for themselves right now.
Well, I would say that the biggest one right now um, is to go easy on yourself. There is a human function that we all do it. It is just about being a human being. We all do this. When things are out of control, like they are right now, we as human beings tend to assign blame. We either assign it to somebody else or we assign it to ourselves. And that's what makes us feel like we can control things. It's all an illusion. We can't control any of this shit. I mean, we all know that,
Yep.
right? We
Right.
can't. It's all an illusion. But that inward blaming of yourself, I think that's so toxic. And I think people really have to watch for that right now because it's natural to be like, well, if I, you know, whatever, if I finished college, I wouldn't have been a bartender and I shouldn't have, this shouldn't have, it's my fault. It's really easy to go down that. It's not logical, but it's really easy to go down that path of blaming yourself or blaming other people, being mad at your restaurant owner that they weren't more prepared or whatever it is. So I'd say, going easy on yourself and going easy on others around you and remembering that thoughts, toxic thoughts create toxicity within yourself. They just do. So, I mean, I hate our current situation right now, but I'm not focusing too much on that hatred because it's toxic. It's not good for any of us. I think just remembering that our thought process, we're retraining ourselves right now about how to think about things and pushing ourselves to do more and be more and, do better is, who are we doing that for? I mean, just being right now. That's the key. Just be. Don't try to do. You can do some. I mean, I'm doing something right now. I'm talking to you. But for the rest of the day, I might just be. Who knows?
Supporting. Yeah.
It really is. I mean, it's important to do all of it. So I think that going easy on yourself piece is probably the most important. I would say everybody just go easy on yourselves. Turn some love your way, all the love you feel for our amazing first responders right now and everybody that's really, coming together to fight this. I think that sort of love we can turn in on ourselves too, because we're all in this together and we all need to be, to feel cared for. And, serving, that's what we're here for. So you can always, if you want to, make sure that your members know, hi members, make sure that they all know that you can find us at servingthoseserving.org. You can contact us and that goes straight to me. So I'm always available for questions, and I will always do my best to try to navigate the world out there. So none of us has all the answers, but yeah, that's why we're here, is to try to help people get through this. So
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Sarah. If I could, I would jump through the screen and give you a hug.
I
One day,
know
when we're allowed to hug again, I'll give you a hug.
I'm a hugger. This is hard for me.
Same. I know. It's like, I can't. What do I do? How do people
My
know that I
poor
care if I
kid.
can't hug them?
Yeah, my poor kid is like, get off me.
Oh gosh, well, thank you so much. And like Sarah said, you can go to servingthoseserving.org to get more information about everything that they do. And stay tuned for more information coming from Hospitality Minnesota. Thanks so much, everybody.
Bye, Emily. Thank you. It
Bye, Sarah. See you soon.
was great.